I'm a long-time conservative, and I think that one of the most cherished assets in a democracy is a free press. And the media is there to keep the government honest. And the minute the media stops doing this, we start heading towards tyranny. When you get this general feeling in the public that they're all lying to us and it's all a conspiracy, you get general contempt for government, which grows into contempt for society, and it's a very injurious situation. One of the first effects of this is that people stop voting. And when they do, you're skidding downhill towards some kind of totalitarian government. And this is something that in my long experience in many countries, I consider the greatest threat. 9/11 to me was the greatest danger from it was not the physical danger to the United States, it was the danger to the American democratic system. And let me say also to the Canadian democratic system, because there are tendencies of extremism here in Canada too. So we need a voice that will be a clarion voice, a tribune of the people that will speak where nobody really now is speaking. There's a big gap and a tremendous need. We live in a period of what I call no-fault government. Whatever official does anything outrageous or crooked or dishonest seems to escape scot-free. Abu Ghraib torture scandal is one of the darkest blots on America's honor and democracy in my lifetime. For which I'm profoundly ashamed. As a former American soldier, I was horrified beyond words. Nobody was responsible except for a few drunken hillbillies. 9/11. Everybody knew this damn attack was coming. The president and his men ignored it. They were asleep on guard duty when this attack came. I think if 9/11 had occurred in a European country, the prime minister would have had to resign, and should have. But somehow this 9/11, well, it up and happened. The devil made them do it. It's an act of the Lord. There's nothing we could do about it. The administration is using the same argument with the Katrina hurricane. Well, we couldn't predict. We didn't know. We changed course. We weren't told. We were misinformed, etc. And, of course, the ultimate whitewash is the whitewash over the wars. Never mind Afghanistan, just Iraq. That whole area is worthy of a major congressional investigation, and people responsible for misleading the United States into war, for lying to Congress, should be held accountable. I mean, President Bill Clinton, and I was no fan of President Clinton. I used to fulminate against him in my columns, but President Clinton was impeached for lying to federal investigators. I ask you, the president, the current president, did not tell the truth to the American people. I mean, it's been splashed all over the news, and only a hardcore of his supporters in the nether regions of the country don't seem to believe that or accept it. And yet another no-fault situation. No one has been held accountable for a war that's killed over 100,000 people and is now costing us as much as the Vietnam War. My concern with Katrina was simply the incredible bungling of the U.S. federal government, never mind local authorities, but the federal government saw this natural catastrophe headed right in. They had days of ample warning, and the amazing thing was that the military forces that should have been deployed there right after the hurricane, or as the winds were abating, were sitting there doing absolutely nothing. Shockingly, the U.S. Navy did not begin to move ships until 4 days after the storm, and the ships were sent from Norfolk, Virginia, which is 4 days steaming away from the Gulf. When the tsunami hit in Asia, and I was there, I saw it firsthand, the Indian Navy was on the disaster scene in Indonesia within hours, whereas the U.S. Navy, which has important bases in Florida and in the Gulf Coast, couldn't get any ships in there. the 82nd Airborne Division, with all its helicopters, hundreds of helicopters, should have been sent there, but was not. And what's even more amazing is that regular infantry troops of the U.S. Army at Fort Polk, Louisiana, which is right near New Orleans, were never moved off base. Why? Because they had received orders to get ready to deploy to Afghanistan. So here we have the surreal image of the United States, which has, the Bush administration, which has launched 2 foreign wars, ostensibly to protect America's national security, and protect Americans from danger, is sitting with its troops either in Afghanistan and Iraq or immobilized on their bases, and not protecting Americans from a horrible natural catastrophe. During the Katrina disaster, I was heartened to see the mainstream U.S. media actually showing signs of acting like true journalists. That means asking politicians hard questions that a lot of Americans wanted to ask them, and taking to task politicians who were posturing and making political platform statements and not really addressing the facts. This was good, but I still thought that at the end of this there was a reluctance on the part of the media to really go after the authorities, who deserved enormous criticism for this. The rebukes were too polite and still too held back, as if any attack on the president or his men was really a question of lèse-majesté, and that it wasn't the proper thing to do. As soon as 9/11 happened, the gates came down on free expression, and that orders went out from the head offices of the networks to follow a certain procedure. For example, in Afghanistan, do not show American casualties, do not show civilian casualties, refer to Afghans opposing U.S. invasion as terrorists or the enemy. In other words, to squarely put the electronic media behind the government and make it almost an auxiliary of the Pentagon. And I found this an extremely disturbing development. I had never seen this before. Now, I was in the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War, and I saw what happened to the press during Vietnam, but in the press, at least, you had a much broader range of expression. This time around, the press was intimidated at the head office level, and the head office then came down and intimidated the news editors and the news managers in the field level that I saw, and people were muzzled.